In 2013, American whistleblower Edward Snowden shook the world with his revelations about the U.S. government's top-secret, extensive domestic surveillance program. And now, he's back with something new, and it's about Alien. Yes, the gaunt, nearly skeletal figure with the long talons and the scorpion-like tail and the mouth full of razor teeth. The little green or gray men with oversized craniums and oversized eyes and tiny mouths. And the cat men or lizard men or dog men or people with blue skin and strange tattoo-like markings or odd brow ridges or pointy ears. What he's saying now isn't just intriguing, it's downright spine-chilling. It's a revelation that could force us to reevaluate our place in the universe and challenge our understanding of biology. It could even lead to contact with intelligent beings, forever altering the course of human history. Join us as we dig deep into the shocking things Snowden has just spilled about aliens. Trust us, it's something we all need to know and be concerned about. To ensure the story's credibility, a brief refresher of the spy career of Edward Snowden is needed. Edward Joseph Snowden was born in 1983 in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, into a family in which nearly everybody worked for the federal government in some capacity. In 10th grade, Snowden stopped attending high school when he came down with mononucleosis. Instead of returning to finish school, he began taking classes at the local community college and became engrossed in computers, technology, the internet, and Japanese anime culture. Snowden joined the military in 2004 with the idea of aiding the U.S. war effort in Iraq and to help free people from oppression. He enlisted in the U.S. Army Reserve as a Special Forces recruit, but lasted only 4 months after breaking both legs in a training exercise. Later, he landed his first job at the University of Maryland, working at a covert NSA facility near the campus. He then went to the CIA in information technology security, rising quickly because of his understanding of the internet and his computer programming skills. By 2007, the CIA had stationed him with diplomatic cover in Geneva, Switzerland, where he maintained computer network security. His experience there and working alongside CIA officers gradually led him to question his own role in the government.
I was trained as a spy in sort of the traditional sense of the word, in that I lived and worked undercover overseas, pretending to work in a job that I'm not, and even being assigned a name that was not mine.
He lectured at the Joint Counterintelligence Training Academy in Quantico, Virginia. Snowden said he later secured a job with U.S. government contractor Booz Allen Hamilton for one reason alone: to obtain evidence of Washington's cyber-spying networks. He worked with them in Hawaii for 3 months before his bombshell leaks on America's vast surveillance program.
My position with Booz Allen Hamilton granted me access to lists of machines all over the world the NSA hacked. That is why I accepted that position.
As a former employee of the CIA and contractor for the NSA, Snowden had access to some of the nation's most closely held secrets. And like any curious mind with access to the CIA's version of Google might do, he went in search of answers to some of society's most pressing questions. Snowden then became famous for leaking information about the U.S. government's surveillance of citizens. U.S. authorities have for years wanted Snowden returned to the United States to face a criminal trial on espionage charges brought in 2013. Snowden is believed to have taken 1.7 million computerized documents that revealed massive programs run by the NSA that gathered information on emails, phone calls, and internet use by hundreds of millions of Americans. Evidence that the NSA was secretly building a vast database of U.S. telephone records, the who, the how, the when, and the where of millions of mobile calls, was the first explosive of the Snowden revelations. And now, this man, once again, made headlines with his claims about the existence of a parallel civilization on Earth. Termed extremophils, these life forms, in Snowden's words, distinct from extraterrestrial aliens, coexisted with humanity for millions of years. They would be organisms that survive in harsh conditions like deep oceans, volcanic areas, or icy landscapes, often in high radiation or extreme temperatures. These organisms demonstrate remarkable adaptability, raising questions about the possibility of more complex life forms in similar environments. In light of Snowden's claims, the term extremophiles took on a new dimension, suggesting the possibility of advanced beings living in Earth's unexplored regions. That reminds us of one of the most fascinating and diverse concepts that appears in various mythologies, conspiracy theories, and science fiction narratives: reptilian humanoids. Reptilian humanoids are typically depicted as tall and imposing figures, often standing between 6 to 9 feet tall. Their physique is muscular and robust, giving them an air of strength and power. Their bodies are humanoid in structure, with 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, but their features are distinctly reptilian. One of the most striking features of reptilian humanoids is their skin. It is usually described as being covered in scales, similar to those of snakes or lizards. The scales can vary in color, ranging from green to brown, black, and sometimes even shades of blue or red. The texture of their skin can appear rough and rugged, with a sheen that gives them a somewhat metallic or reflective quality under certain lights. The head of a reptilian humanoid is often elongated and reptilian in nature. They have prominent, forward-facing eyes with slit-like pupils, much like those of modern reptiles. These eyes can be various colors, including yellow, green, or red, and they often convey a sense of intelligence and menace. The facial structure might include ridges, bony protrusions, or horns, adding to their fearsome appearance. Their mouths are usually wide, filled with sharp, pointed teeth that emphasize their predatory nature. Some depictions include forked tongues, enhancing their reptilian traits. The overall impression is one of a creature that is both alien and familiar, blending human and reptilian features in a way that can be both fascinating and unsettling. Reptilian humanoids typically have hands and feet that are more claw-like than human. Their fingers and toes end in sharp claws, which can be used for both combat and utility. In some depictions, their limbs are also scaled and muscular, reflecting their physical prowess. Many descriptions include a long, powerful tail, although this feature is not universal. The tail can be used for balance, communication, or as a weapon. In case you still can't image, the 1970 episode of the classic TV series Doctor Who involves the present-day discovery of Silurians, an ancient race of technologically advanced reptilian humanoids who predated the arrival of humans by hundreds of millions of years. According to the plot, these highly civilized saurians flourished for centuries until Earth's atmosphere entered a period of cataclysmic upheaval that forced Homo reptilia to go into hibernation underground to wait out the danger. While reptilians have captured our imagination for decades, scientists aren't satisfied with that old cliché. According to scientists, never mind the gaunt, nearly skeletal figure with the long talons and the scorpion-like tail and the mouth full of razor teeth. Never mind the little green or gray men with oversized craniums and oversized eyes and tiny mouths. Never mind the cat men or lizard men or dog men or people with blue skin and strange tattoo-like markings or odd brow ridges or pointy ears. Why would the advanced humanoid life forms on Earth have to look that similar to us? Why would extremophils grow eyes and a nose and a tongue and all the other fiddly bits we have? They wouldn't. Living beings evolve in response to their environment. So we should consider the principle of convergent evolution. On our own planet, different species often come up with similar adaptive traits. Good examples of this are sensory organs such as eyes, ears, and noses. There is strong evolutionary pressure to have light-sensing organs, especially if the species is part of a predator-prey relationship. These can take different forms, from the compound eye of a fly to the stereo vision of humans to the eye spots of certain microorganisms. But the principle is the same. Only in the deep ocean or inside caves, where no light penetrates, do some organisms lack eyes. So, would aliens have sensory organs? It would depend on the environment. Who needs ears if there is no medium to transmit sound waves? And extraterrestrials would only need eyes in places where the light of a star is likely to penetrate. What about appendages? Flippers are good in water. On land, arms and legs are more useful. Flying seems even better. Most insects and birds can fly, as can some mammals like bats and even a few fish. In short, given the natural tendency of all life forms to want to survive as long as possible, it would be a common trait of extraterrestrials to shed their limited organic bodies as much and as soon as they could. That means a real advanced civilization would be so far from anything we've ever imagined that we would barely be able to comprehend its existence, and we would seem just as completely, bafflingly bizarre to it. But where could we find them? Well, our planet is vast, beautiful, and mystique. You can travel all across the world for years and still not witness even half of the mysteries and beauty that our planet has. It's so grand and versatile that it's hard to grasp how all of those various climates and natural differences can find a place on a single planet. Here are the 5 most extreme places on Earth. 1. Antarctica. As the coldest continent on Earth, Antarctica is the winner of extreme weather conditions and also the most untouched by humankind. Covering an area of 14 million square kilometers, Antarctica is the 5th largest continent. But despite being larger than both Oceania and Europe, Antarctica is a unique continent in that it does not have a native human population. There are no countries in Antarctica. 7 countries made defined claims to Antarctic territory prior to the Antarctic Treaty of 1959. But the treaty does not legally recognize any claims. The Antarctic also includes island territories within the Antarctic Convergence. The islands of the Antarctic region are South Orkney Islands and South Shetland Islands, claimed by the United Kingdom, South Georgia and the South Sandwich Islands, administered by the United Kingdom and claimed by Argentina, Peter the Fur Island and Bouvet Island, claimed by Norway, Heard and McDonald Islands, claimed by Australia, and Scott Island and the Balleny Islands, claimed by New Zealand. The Antarctic ice sheet dominates the region. It is the largest single piece of ice on Earth. It covers over 14 million square kilometers, and ice covers approximately 98% of the land that lies beneath. The ice can also be several kilometers thick, especially under the Antarctic Plateau. A mountain as towering as Japan's Mount Fuji at 3,800 meters would not even break the surface. At its deepest, Antarctica's ice is 4.5 kilometers thick. That's half the height of Mount Everest. If it all melted, global sea levels would rise about 60 meters. The lowest temperature ever recorded in Antarctica is minus 89.2 degrees C, set in 1983 at the Soviet Union's Vostok station. Recently, satellites with advanced sensor systems measured even colder temperatures from space, detecting surface temperatures as low as minus 97.8 degrees C. For explorers venturing inland to the South Pole and other destinations, the wind chill effect can make things feel even colder than the measurable temperature. Its extreme conditions and inaccessible terrain have made it a challenging subject for study, preserving its secrets under a thick blanket of ice that has not melted for millions of years. This isolation has spurred countless theories about what lies beneath the surface, from ancient artifacts of lost civilizations to evidence of alien visitation and hidden military installations. The history of Antarctica is as vast and varied as the ice sheets that cover it. The continent's discovery is attributed to the Russian expedition led by Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen and Mikhail Lazarev in 1820, but ancient maps, such as the Piri Reis map of 1513, suggest a knowledge of Antarctica's coastline before it was covered by ice. These maps raise questions about the extent of ancient civilizations' explorations and their understanding of the globe. Could they have visited Antarctica, leaving behind remnants of their presence now buried under the ice? One of the most tantalizing episodes in Antarctica's history is Operation High Jump, officially titled the United States Navy Antarctic Developments Program 1946-1947. Led by Admiral Richard E. Byrd, the operation was a massive military exercise that included 13 ships, over 4,000 men, and numerous aircraft. Officially, it was aimed at establishing the Antarctic research base Little America 4, but the sudden and early termination of the mission has fueled speculation about encounters with unknown technologies or entities. Eyewitness accounts from the operation describe sightings of unidentified flying objects and advanced aircraft, suggesting a cover-up of an otherworldly nature. The alien hypothesis in Antarctica is bolstered by numerous accounts of UFOs and strange phenomena. Reports of silver discs darting across the sky, often at speeds and with maneuvers beyond the capabilities of known aircraft, are common among those who have worked or lived on the continent. These accounts lend credence to theories that Antarctica is a hotspot for extraterrestrial activity, possibly serving as a base or a waypoint for advanced civilization. The secrecy surrounding these sightings, often enforced by military or governmental agencies, only adds to the mystique and speculation. 2. Death Valley, California. Death Valley is regarded as the hottest place on Earth. The geologic history of Death Valley is extremely complex and involves different types of fault activity at various periods, in addition to crustal sinking and even some volcanic activity. Essentially, Death Valley is a graben, or rift valley, formed by the sinking of a tremendous expanse of rock lying between parallel uplifted, tilted block mountain ranges to the east and west. A type of fault activity called block faulting, in which the movement is predominantly vertical, began to form the valley about 30 million years ago. As crustal blocks sank, they formed the great trough of the valley, and other blocks were uplifted to gradually form the adjacent mountain ranges. As the valley sank, it was filled by sediments that were eroded from the surrounding hills. In the central part of the valley, the bedrock floor is buried beneath as much as 2,745 meters of sediment. The valley floor has continued to tilt and sink. The floor of Death Valley is noted for its extremes of temperature and aridity. A record world and North American high-shaded air temperature of 57 degrees Celsius was recorded in 1913, and summer temperatures often exceed 49 degrees Celsius. The hottest summer on record in the valley saw temperatures top 49 on Degree 40 days in 1996. Ground temperatures as high as 94 degrees Celsius have been reported. The high temperatures and low humidity contribute to an exceptionally high evaporation rate. Winter minimum temperatures rarely fall to the freezing point. The record lowest temperature was -9 degrees Celsius. Most rainfall is blocked by the mountains to the west, so the valley is extremely arid. In a 50-year period in the 20th century, the average annual rainfall at Furnace Creek was only 42.2 millimeters. The maximum annual rainfall was 114.3 millimeters, and 2 years passed with no measurable rainfall. Most of the surface water in Death Valley is in the saline ponds and marshes around the salt pan. The Amargosa River brings some water into the southern end of the valley from desert areas to the east, but most of its flow is underground. Salt Creek, draining the northern arm of the valley, also has only short stretches of perennial surface flow. At times in the past, much more water reached Death Valley. During the Wisconsin glacial stage of the Pleistocene epoch, perhaps about 50,000 years ago, a body of water, Lake Manly, filled the valley to a depth of as much as 180 meters. More recently, some 2,000 to 5,000 years ago, a shallow lake occupied the floor of the valley, its evaporation producing the present salt pan. Lack of water makes Death Valley a desert, but it is by no means devoid of life. Plant life above the microscopic level is absent from the salt pan, but salt-tolerant pickleweed, salt grass, and rushes grow around the springs and marshes at its edges. Introduced tamarisks provide shade around some of the springs and in the inhabited areas at Furnace Creek, but Because they crowd out native vegetation, eradication efforts are ongoing. Mesquite flourishes where less saline water is available. Creosote bush dominates the gravel fan surfaces around most of the valley, giving way to desert holly at the lowest elevations. Cactus is rare in the lowest part of the valley, but abundant on the fans farther north. Higher elevations support juniper and piñón pine. Spring rains bring out a great variety of desert wildflowers. Animal life is varied, although nocturnal habits conceal many of the animals from visitors to the valley. Rabbits and several types of rodents, including antelope ground squirrels, kangaroo rats, and desert wood rats, are present and are the prey of coyotes, kit foxes, and bobcats. The largest native mammal in the area, and perhaps the best studied member of the fauna, is the desert bighorn. Small herds of these sheep are most commonly found in the mountains surrounding Death Valley, but they occasionally visit the valley floor. Wild burros, descendants of animals lost or abandoned by prospectors and miners, became so numerous as to threaten, through overgrazing, the natural vegetation on which other animals depend. Burro removal began in the 1960s, and live capture efforts were subsequently attempted in hopes of eliminating the population. Though it may seem that the only birds present are the raucous and numerous ravens, the first biological survey of the valley in the 1890s reported 78 species of birds. More than 3 times that number are now known to inhabit or visit the area, the roadrunner being a particularly well-known resident. Lizards, snakes, and scorpions are common. Even native fish are to be found in Death Valley. Several species of pupfish of the genus Cyprinodon live in Salt Creek and other permanent bodies of water. The highly endangered devil's hole pupfish lives in a single desert pool. 3. Sahara Desert, Africa. The Sahara is the largest hot desert in the world and the 3rd largest desert overall, behind the cold deserts of Antarctica and the Arctic. The Sahara is one of the harshest environments on Earth, covering 9.4 million square kilometers, an area about the size of the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii, and spanning nearly a third of the African continent. The average annual temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, whilst the hottest temperature ever recorded was 58 degrees Celsius. The area receives little rainfall. In fact, half of the Sahara Desert receives less than 1 inch of rain every year. Despite many thinking of the Sahara as a constantly hot climate, temperatures drop dramatically at night due to the lack of humidity and can reach lows of -6 degrees. Snow falls regularly on several mountain ranges, but nowhere else in the Sahara. Despite the harsh, arid conditions of the Sahara, many plant and animal species call the region home. Approximately 500 plant species, 70 mammalian species, 90 avian species, 100 reptilian species, and numerous species of spiders, scorpions, and other small arthropods live in the Sahara. The camel is one of the most iconic animals of the Sahara, though its ancestors originated in North America. Renowned as the ships of the desert, camels are well adapted to the Sahara's hot, arid environment. The humps on a camel's back store fat, which can be used for energy and hydration in between meals. Camels store energy so efficiently that they can go more than a week without water and several months without food. Other mammal residents of the Sahara include gazelles, addaxes, a type of antelope, cheetahs, caracals, desert foxes, and wild dogs. Many reptiles also thrive in the desert environment, including several species of snakes, lizards, and even crocodiles in places where there is enough water. Several arthropod species also call the Sahara home, such as dung beetles, scarab beetles, deathstalker, scorpions, and many types of ants. 4. The Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench is the deepest oceanic trench on Earth and home to the 2 lowest points on the planet. The crescent-shaped trench is in the western Pacific, just east of the Mariana Islands near Guam. The region surrounding the trench is noteworthy for many unique environments, including vents bubbling up liquid sulfur and carbon dioxide, active mud volcanoes, and marine life adapted to pressures 1,000 times that at sea level. The Challenger Deep, in the southern end of the Mariana Trench, sometimes called the Marianas Trench, is the deepest spot in the ocean. Its depth is difficult to measure from the surface, but in 2010, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration used sound pulses sent through the ocean and pegged the Challenger Deep D at 10,194 meters. A 2021 estimate using pressure sensors found the deepest spot in Challenger Deep was 10,135 meters. Other modern estimates vary by less than 305 meters. The ocean's second deepest place is also in the Mariana Trench. The Serena Deep, which lies 200 kilometers to the east of Challenger Deep, is a crushing 10,809 meters deep. As deep as the trench is, it is not the spot closest to the center of Earth. Because the planet bulges at the equator, the radius at the poles is about 25 kilometers less than the radius at the equator. So, parts of the Arctic Ocean seabed are closer to the Earth's center than the Challenger Deep. The crushing water pressure on the floor of the trench is more than 703 kilograms per square meter. This is more than 1,000 times the pressure felt at sea level, or the equivalent of having 50 jumbo jets piled on top of a person. What's interestingly, scientific expeditions have discovered surprisingly diverse life in these harsh conditions. Animals living in the deepest parts of the Mariana Trench survive in complete darkness and extreme pressure. Food in the Mariana Trench is extremely limited because the deep gorge is far from land. Terrestrial plant material rarely finds its way into the bottom of the trench, and dead plankton sinking from the surface must drop thousands of feet to reach Challenger Deep. Instead, some microbes rely on chemicals, such as methane or sulfur, while other creatures gobble marine life that's below them on the food chain. The three most common organisms at the bottom of the Mariana Trench are xenophyophores, amphipods, and small sea cucumbers, holothurians, Gallo said. The single-celled xenophyophores resemble giantamuebas, and they eat by surrounding and absorbing their food. Amphipods are shiny, shrimp-like scavengers commonly found in deep sea trenches. How they survived down there was a bit of a mystery, because amphipod shells dissolve easily in the high pressures of the Mariana Trench. But in 2019, Japanese researchers found that at least one species of the Mariana Trench dwellers uses aluminum, extracted from seawater, to shore up its shell. During Cameron's 2012 expedition, scientists also spotted microbial mats in the Serena Deep, the zone east of the Challenger Deep. These clumps of microbes feed on hydrogen and methane released by chemical reactions between seawater and rocks. One of the region's top predators is a deceptively vulnerable-looking fish. In 2017, scientists reported they had collected specimens of an unusual creature, dubbed the Mariana snailfish, which lives at a depth of about 8,000 meters. The snailfish's small, pink, and scaleless body hardly seems capable of surviving in such a punishing environment. But this fish is full of surprises, researchers reported in a study published in the journal Zootaxa. The animal appears to dominate in this ecosystem, going deeper than any other fish and exploiting the absence of competitors by gobbling up the plentiful invertebrate prey that inhabit the trench. 5. Ethiopia's Danakil Depression. The Danakil Depression looks like it could be Mars. Its yellow and orange landscape is a cauldron of burning salt, volcanic rock, and sulfuric acid. The springs around the Dalol volcano, one of the numerous volcanoes inside the depression, have hydrothermal properties that are not only toxic, but also unsuitable for life. The Danakil Depression is the hottest place on Earth in terms of year-round average temperatures. It is also one of the lowest places on the planet, at 100 meters below sea level, and without rain for most of the year. Here, the Awash River dries up in a chain of salt lakes, such as Lake Afrera. never reaching the Indian Ocean. Mount Ayelu is the westernmost and older of the two volcanoes at the southern end of the Danakil Depression. The other active volcano, Ertaal, is one of several crater lakes of lava bubbling from the Earth's mantle. Additionally, the area contains the Dalol sulfur springs, or hot springs. These wet environments at the Danakil Depression are being investigated to help understand how life might arise on other planets and moons. Many microorganisms living here are extremophilic microbes of a major interest to astrobiologists. Nonetheless, in October 2019, scientists reported that terrestrial life forms, including extreme forms of archaea microorganisms, were not found to exist in the very hot, acidic, and salty conditions present in some parts of the Danakil Depression. That's all the information that we have for you today. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss out on future episodes. And be sure to also tell us what you think about today's content. Everyone's support motivates us to continue delivering quality content and to always improve. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.